So this tutorial is about how you log into Quest, how you find an assignment once you've found a course, and then how you enter numbers for your answers and how you know whether the answers are correct. So once again, to get to this screen, if you Google Quest Online Learning or Online Homework, this should be the first one that comes up. And then you would log into Quest using your login, and I had already logged in. So here are my courses, so you can see here that I have, this is my course, and there is something due in a certain time frame. So now if I click on my course, I can see that there is an assignment down here. And it's when it's due, and so I'm going to click on this assignment so I can see it. And the cool thing about this particular system is that it gives you a PDF that you can actually print off. So you can work on these on your own outside of having a computer and then come back and enter them. It tells you how many questions, and that type of thing. So it gives you that information, and then over here is where you submit your answers. So the responses go in these particular boxes. This gives you how many tries you have. Notice you have 7 tries for each question, and each question is worth 3 points. Please be aware that the one problem we have with this system is that it will take points off for each try, but please note that if you have them correct, those will be manually returned to you. In other words, it doesn't matter if you get it right on the first try or the 7th try, you will get full credit for the answer. And so on a separate sheet of paper, I've gone through these questions, and the big thing about this particular first question right here is that it has this 3 times 10 to the 8th. And so what do you do if you have really big or really small numbers and you need to use scientific notation? And so this particular answer comes out to be 9.72 times 10 to the 9th kilometers. And that can be written for calculator terms as 9.72 E9. And so we're going to try to enter that. And so we're going to do 9.72, and then we'll do E9. And then I'm going to hit submit and see what happens. And it's telling me my answer is incorrect. And I realized what I had done here on the sheet I had printed out. I had 9 hours, and this says 14 hours, which means that it's going to, some of these problems are going to randomly change the variables within people, and so you need to be aware of that you and your friends are not necessarily going to have the same numbers. The answer here is not this, it is actually 1.512 e to the 10th. So let's try that as an answer. 1.512 e 10, and we will hit submit, and the answer is correct this time. And so you can see here that I have the check mark. Notice that it has taken points off, but please again remind that we will manually put those back in. We'll see the check, we'll make sure that you get 3 points. So if we see all these checks, you get full credit on that part of the assignment. So if I look at the next questions, one of the things in class is with gravity, we often round it to 10. This will tell you that they want you to use gravity as 9.8. And so if I do this particular question, I come out and do the calculation, I come out with 16.974. And that's in meters per second. So let's try that answer. So it does want you to keep several digits from your calculation. So I'm thinking, well, what if we round that to 17? And let's see what happens. So let's try running that to 17 and hit submit. And it likes it. So apparently you can round. 16.974 was, so you can kind of play around with that and see how that works. And notice that because that was my first submission, it did give me full credit. But again, doesn't matter if it's your first or your seventh. These points will all come back to you manually by your teacher. So the last one is actually split into 2 parts. And so each of the parts is worth 3 points. And one's talking about displacement, one's talking about distance on a trip. And in this particular problem, John is traveling from a mile marker 244 to a 143. And it wants to know his displacement. And remember that displacement goes from where you end minus where you start. So this one's going to be negative. And so if I just enter so the value is actually negative 78 kilometers. But if I enter just the positive 78, so in other words, if you forget about entering that negative sign and hit submit, it will tell me that my answer is incorrect. So if I go back and I say, no, I think it's minus 78, then I'm going to hit submit and I'm good. So you do have to be careful about negative signs where they're needed. And then the last one is just how far did he travel. So we have to look at his total distance, and that one I think comes out 124. Again, you can take a look at each of these. The idea here is just to enter, to try some of these. So it talks about what my total score is. Then when I'm done, what's my total score? But again, don't worry about that, because as your teacher sees that all of these are checks, then you will get the full 12 points. It doesn't matter how many tries it takes. So please, again, be aware of that. And enjoy the online homework.